Hi all, current date of recording, July 2023. I'm currently located in the lawn, obviously, and I have a question for you all. I want to know your opinions on me removing the lawn. Now, this has provoked an interest between my parents and myself because I particularly need more plants in my life. I feel I would like less lawn, more plants, and they're kind of okay with that, but at the same time I'm talking big scale here, like removing the majority of the lawn. So this is my thought process, and I want you all to comment below. So I'll talk you through both sides of it, and then you can drop a comment below and let me know what you think is the best idea. I'm quite lucky, I'm very fortunate that obviously when I started gardening, my parents had kind of future-proofed the garden in the sense that sort of 30 odd years ago, before I came along, they put in 10 amazing oak trees, and we have this really stunning sort of, tree-lined driveway, which is fantastic. The trees are really mature now. They're given sort of like lots of shade, sort of midsummer, which is great. And, they just give a nice height and elevation to the garden, which is fine. However, this side of the lawn is more away from the main driveway, and it is located where there's more light nearby. There's also more breeze, which has been quite annoying at the moment. But this side of the lawn, the whole way to the bottom, with exception to that walnut tree, in my head, I want to rip up. So I want to take it from the top of the steps here, and it comes out, and it meanders, in a curvy S-bend the whole way down. And that would leave only this side remainder as lawn. Now, also initially in my head I was thinking, what about if there was just a lawn path down through the middle and both sides were planting? And from a cost expense, because this is quite a sizable area, I thought, no, I can't, I'm not sure I can afford to do that. I'm not even sure potentially I have time and resources to grow enough plants, because I'll not be able to buy these from here and do that curvy meander and border the whole way to the bottom, which would be ideal. So my parents were like, we're not really sure, we want you to rip up the lawn. They're totally supportive, and they'll be like, look, we'll do whatever you want to do, but they're not funding this. I'm doing it completely myself. And I was like, right, okay, I'll have a think about it. And then they suggested about ripping up, well, not ripping up, but doing a border on this side of the lawn and not this side. And this side is predominantly more shady. In fact, it's underneath these oak trees. There's lots of shade under here. It's quite close to the driveway, and still gets a breeze, obviously, because the breeze comes across from this direction, mostly westerly winds. And I thought, well, why would I do that? Obviously on this side, because I have a border that runs behind the pond, I was hoping I could link them both together, bring it straight up here, and keep that colour palette of them rich purples, oranges, hot pinks, and a wee touch of yellow the whole way through this. That was kind of my idea. If I was to do a border on this side and nothing here, we're going into the shady zone. And that kind of colour palette of plants that also would require more light wouldn't just do as well here underneath. And that sort of straight away I was like, straight up, nah, not interested. But then of course I lost a couple of nights sleep over this, and I thought about it more and more. And as you know, originally I had done a white border once upon a time, way down at the bottom there, which I since changed because I grew out of the love for white. However, shaded areas look fantastic with white flowers, and you can maybe future plan where I'm going here with this, but it does make sense. It's much easier to cut a rectangle strip of lawn than it is to go around all these intricate curves of the oak trees. So my parents like kind of the circular basins, I suppose you would call them, underneath the oak trees. They like it all bark like that, which is fine. I love that too. So they're not really wanting the planting to come right up in under the oak tree, which fair enough, I'm okay with. But they kind of just want it to touch the parameters of the driveway, just kind of like lean over onto the drive. Now bear in mind the gradient of this location is very steep. It's about 10% or sharper. and we're not wanting the plants to just completely spew out onto the driveway. But I'm in my head already, I'm thinking things like Omphaeopogon, that lovely dark glossy black grass, Acamela mollis. So again, lady's mantle, quite an easy propagated plant, but again, I'm coming at this from a cost expense point of view, and it does well in shade. It can tolerate a bit of a breeze. It would look good there, and plus those nice limey bright flowers would be nice and bright, touching the parameters of the driveway, the curbs. That would help hide it. And by doing looser planting kind of closer to the driveway, we're losing out on all them wee tight areas which are quite difficult to cut with a lawnmower. Believe it or not, although this area is quite sizable, it's not really geared up towards a ride-on lawnmower, so it has to be a push mower. And as you can imagine, pushing a push mower up a hill, especially around all these curves, is quite difficult. So by removing all that sort of curvature, by making it soft planting, that might be a way to get around it. So my thought process now is, okay, ignore the fact of having a big, luscious, really colourful, bright border here, which I really want. But I do like the idea of pale yellows, whites, creams, soft, maybe slight lilac shades over here, of kind of semi-shade planting, and like maybe some more yew balls. Now I might have to source them, or Ilex crenata balls, or some sort of topiary, just kind of dart it through for structure, like what I've done on my long border. And my long border is located literally just on the other side of this drive, and it's all blues, yellows, whites, and I really love that colour palette. Like, I can't believe I'm so obsessed with it, but I do love it. I think that's something I'm not going to tire of. Which then sort of leads me to the next bit where, although yes, I keep mentioning that this is shade, it's not complete shade. Like, these oak trees are deciduous. There is going to be direct sun here in the winter time. I do have to think about kind of evergreen structure through this, because it can't all be herbaceous. As much as I love herbaceous, it can't be. So I do have to think about shrubs. I do also have to think about access for the lawnmower. There's quite considerable, sizable, lovely spaces between these trees, and I might have to bring maybe a lawn path from the drive in just to get the lawnmower through. So there might be somewhere down this slightly smaller borders, and then at the very bottom, because that sort of takes you down to that longer border there closer to the pond, I do go in and out quite regularly there with my big wheelbarrow. And so I would need to make an entry point there, because again, suddenly if I done this all planting from the very bottom right up to the newly planted new hedge, and bear in mind I put that in January, early February, all of a sudden you're completely blocked. You've no access. You've no access to the steps down to this lower gravelled area. So yes, there's going to have to be interruptions of pathways just for accessibility purposes. And then, that sort of got me wondering, how far do you take the border out? My father sort of has this idea in his head where he only wants it to come, I suppose, halfway out. He only wants it quite close to the curb. But I don't think that's generous enough, because I feel it's too thin, and you can't have these really mature oaks and then this really thin, kind of malnourished border. So I think it has to be a big chunky border. I think it has to actually come out beyond the circles of these oaks. Now these are over 1.5 meters in width, so suddenly that becomes a very sizable border. And to be honest, it would actually work out bigger, because you would have to keep the continuity the same the whole way up, than doing a curvy border on this side. So all of a sudden I've worked myself into a much bigger project if I do bring it out to here. So my next thought process is maybe bringing it halfway to the oak tree, so sort of draw a string line down from the oak trees the whole way through, because these oak trees are precision planted, like they're all in perfect straight lines, which is fantastic. So then just run the string line down, and just on this side lift this lawn, get it tumbled up, get it planted. Now that is the two options. So what I want you guys to do is leave me a comment. What do you feel? Go with the original plan, which is to do the big curvy, beautiful, colourful border, but then obviously still have a bit of lawn here, and then have the problem of getting the lawnmower in and around the trees, what we've been doing. Or scrap this idea, make this lawn more accessible, because from a practicality point of view, that would be a good idea. And I suppose for now, even do half the border here, and then maybe over time when I grow enough plants, bring it the full width out. I might just bring it the full width out anyhow. We'll see. I have a lot of Hydrangea paniculata limelight planted in the border behind the pond, and that border just gets so dry that they're not doing well. They've been in, this is their second year in, and I doubt they're going to flower this year. To be honest, it's partly my own fault because I pack that much around them that the herbaceous just takes over and doesn't give them a chance to thrive. But I'm thinking they would be really nice. 2 Hydrangea paniculata limelights in between each tree. That would be your nice shrub structure. In the winter time, although it's not an evergreen, you're going to get those lovely gold hydrangea heads. Lots of Omphaiopogon touching the curb, which will count as an evergreen, but it'll also be black, so it's giving you kind of a colour interest. Lots of Acamela mollis, loads of white anemones, possibly white cosmos in summer, aqualegias, loads of aqualegias. And then kind of maybe on this side as an alternative ground cover, because there is more light coming in, I might do like lamb's ears down this. So you're going to have that black, you're going to have that silver, loads of white, loads of pale yellows. Foxgloves as well are things I can grow quite cheaply and just sort of fill this all up. I think this would be very woodlandy. It would look amazing. But yes, anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. I want you to let me know what you think yourselves. Drop me a comment. I say I don't have the funds or the plants or resources to do this now anyway, so it's not probably going to be happening anytime soon, but it is a future project and I don't mind you guys getting involved, or drop me a completely different suggestion. So let me know what you think, and as always, thank you for watching, thank you for supporting this channel. Bye.